Hey, everybody, welcome to, it's Monday Momentum. Hey, I don't know about you, but it is a scorcher out there. And man, it's just hot. So I hope that, at the end of your day, you get to find somewhere cool and get some AC and something cool to drink and enjoy some shade or somewhere and prepare for the rest of the week. Sometimes, hey, momentum comes from rest and what you need to do. So hopefully you can get out of that sun and enjoy some rest this evening. But it's still Monday, and we have the rest of the week to go. So today we want to continue to just lean into how we find some spiritual momentum, some momentum to keep following Jesus for the rest of the week. And if you've been following along, you know that we've been talking about transformation. And some of you might be wondering, we're still talking about transformation. Well, because it's a big topic. And it is something that we are going to participate in for the rest of our lives. God's never done with us. He's constantly working and changing us. So we've been looking at all the ways and all the things that God does to change our lives and how we partner with Him in that. So last week, we started a tough topic. And I think we're going to spend this week and next week on it. So we have a few more weeks to lean into how God uses difficulty, how God uses problems, how God uses trials, how God uses sometimes even pain to change our life. And so we started last week looking at Romans 5. And this week, we're going to look at another, I'm going to call it a classic passage. And some of you might be familiar with it. And if you are, it's James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. So let me just read it. It says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy, for you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." Talked about endurance last week. "So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect, you'll be complete, you'll be needing nothing." All right, so let's lean into this. Again, it's a tough verse. These verses are tough. God uses troubles of any kind to transform us. And so what he's trying to do, just like Romans 5 last week, is he's creating endurance. He's creating spiritual endurance. And we know from last week that endurance, why is spiritual endurance so important? See, endurance keeps you in the game. You stay in the game. And you need spiritual endurance, and as you stay in the game, it equals character, which is transformation. So you can't have transformation without developing spiritual endurance. And so what God does is He uses difficulties of any kind. And so, again, some of you might be thinking, well, like what? Well, again, anything. He'll use financial challenges to grow us in endurance and eventually character. I mean, listen, I remember the financial struggles that Lisa and I had for years. Being a pastor, most people don't become a pastor to get rich, all right? And especially if you're going to start your own church. And I was a youth pastor for 12 years. So, I mean, I remember being so poor and struggling financially that, Lisa and I were turning in pop cans so that we could buy groceries. All right, so we understand having really lean seasons. And I don't want to go back to those, but God used those seasons to teach us a lot. That trial, that problem of any kind. And those were times that He taught us what trusting Him looks like. And those lessons paid off later in life. And so it could be financial if you're struggling with that, okay? It could be relational challenges. Oh, my goodness. There's just so many relational challenges. If you're married, there's going to be relational challenges. You're a parent, there's relational challenges. You have friends, there's relational challenges. You have challenging coworkers. See, it's all relational challenges. God's going to use that to grow us and give us endurance. Emotional challenges. That grows our endurance. It grows our character. It shows us how to obey Him. Fear, anxiety, discouragement, anger. I mean, just how do we trust God with our feelings? How about physical issues? Some of you are dealing with physical challenges, and some of those are the toughest. Some of you have incredibly difficult physical challenges. I think just as whether you get them earlier in life or eventually, we're all going to get them as we get older, all right? Again, Nobody gets a free ride through life. I have glaucoma, all right? I have bad sinuses. I've got bad eyes. I've got bad teeth. It's genetic. I'm going blind in my right eye. And doctors, in fact, I have a thing coming up here just in the next couple of weeks where they're going to try to maybe have a surgery to see if they can preserve my right eye. I don't talk about it much, but it's just one more thing. We all have to trust God with something. But God uses everything. He uses everything. And so the verses go on and it says joy. Consider it joy. Now our joy comes from trusting God, that God has purposes. He has sovereign purposes. Despite, in the midst of our pain, in the midst of our troubles of any kind. And we're not rejoicing in the circumstances. So please understand that. When it says consider it all joy, it's not when you go through a trouble, you're supposed to go, hey, I'm so excited, hey, praise God. I mean, that's not how it plays out, because really nobody does that. What we do is we have joy knowing that God's still in charge, knowing that God's still doing good things despite the difficulties that I'm going through. He hasn't abandoned you. He's going to take that and use it for something good in your life. If we lose sight of that, and often I'll be honest with you, I'm just like you. Sometimes I lose sight of it. And when I lose sight of what God is doing, even if I can't see it, I lose my joy. Another thing that I've learned over the years is this. I know I count on that God's going to do something in my life with what I'm going through. He's not going to waste the pain, waste the problem, waste the struggle. So I count on that. But I've also come to know that God is always doing more than I see. He always has a larger agenda. Even if his agenda partly is to work in my life, I always know he's doing more than that. He's doing way more than that. So I trust in that too. So he goes on. I'm going to talk about something else here. We must cooperate with God's growth agenda during hard times, because he goes on in this verse and says, now let it grow. Let your endurance grow. Let your faith grow. Let it grow. We don't have to let it grow. We can hinder the process. And I think we've all done that at times. I've hindered the process. I mean, instead of trusting God with my trial or my problem or my difficulty, I mean, I have sat in it. I've whined about it. I've complained about it. And how often I've just simply asked God to remove it. And it's not wrong to ask God to remove it, but sometimes God's not going to answer that prayer, because he's going to do something in your life with it that's good. And so sometimes I'm like, Lord, I'd really like you to remove this, but Lord, I also want you to do something in me. So if that's the journey, please do something in me. So that could be your journey right now. Now, if we refuse to let it grow, I want to point something out. First of all, our endurance doesn't grow, our character doesn't grow, and we're gonna miss out on the blessing, which I'm going to talk about blessings here in just a second, because there's blessings in this life and the next for letting your character grow and your faith grow and your endurance grow. But if we don't cooperate, here's what I've also noticed. If God's trying to create something in your life, and he always is, if we don't grow through the problem or the trial, guess what happens? In some way, it recycles. Yep, it's going to recycle. Listen, God's not being mean. He's really not. He's not like making this happen. I know it kind of feels that way. But sometimes in your life, if you've got an issue in your life that you're not growing, you refuse to grow in, but yet you notice it comes up again and again and again and again. And it's like, why does this keep happening to me? It might be this. You're not letting it grow. You're refusing to let God change you, transform you, stretch you, give you that endurance he's trying to do in your life. And so if you're not letting it grow, it might seem like it calms down for a while, and then all of a sudden it comes back again. And now you have another opportunity to grow and trust and let him transform you. So let it grow. Now, there are blessings for cooperating with God's purposes in difficulties, because let's face it, we all want to know if it's worth it. because this is hard stuff. James 1:12 says God blesses those who patiently endure testing and temptation. Okay? So he blesses us. Afterwards, he talks about they're going to receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. So I want to talk about two things. The blessings that I believe that we get for letting God transform our life, it's twofold. It's in this life and it's in the next. Now, I know specifically here he talks about the crown of life. And some people can get really specific about the crowns. The Bible does talk about other crowns, all right? There's actually 5 different crowns that the Bible talks about. Here's the thing about a crown. And then some Christians actually say that. I can't wait to get to heaven and get my crown. Kind of weird, kind of arrogant, but that's fine. I don't know if it's a literal crown. Could be a literal crown. It could be figurative for something else. I'm not sure what it is. I'll be honest with you. Crowns don't motivate me. I mean, if I'm in the depths of something really, really hard, and reminding myself that, man, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna get a crown. I'm sorry, that just does not motivate me at all. Because I don't know. It just doesn't. Maybe it motivates you. That's totally cool. I do know that we will be blessed in eternity. And Jesus talks about it. The apostles talk about it, that we're going to stand before God someday, and we're going to be judged, and our lives are going to be judged, not to determine eternity, because that's already been decided, but it's more like an awards ceremony, where we will be rewarded for faithfulness. And so we don't know what those rewards are, but if Jesus says they're worth it, they must be worth it. And I'm counting on that. I'm telling you, I'm counting on that. Because there have been times in my life when obedience and endurance has really been hard. And there have been times that I've wondered if it's worth it. And there have been conversations that I've had with God over the years where I'm literally I have tears running down my face because of how painful it is. And doing the right thing sometimes can be that painful. Telling God, you said this is worth it. And I'm counting on that. And I didn't say that out of rebellion. It's just that sometimes your heart hurts and you want to know that it matters. And Jesus says it does matter. It is worth it. Another reason it's worth it, not just eternity. It's worth it because there are blessings in this life. What are the blessings in this life? It's worth becoming a better person. I mean, it just is. You're going to find more joy and more happiness and more fulfillment and more life as you mature as a person. As you have more endurance and you have more character. Guess what it equals? It equals life fulfillment. And so you don't let your character grow, you tend to be a very unfulfilled, unhappy person. So God's going to give you life. Jesus said, I came to give you life in all its fullest. That's true. That's actually true. So that happens. I mean, it's just worth being a better person. It's worth being a better spouse so that you can have a better marriage. It's worth being a better parent. It's worth having less fear, less insecurity. See, this is what transformation does. It makes us free to enjoy life. So the blessings are worth it. It's this life and the next. The ones in this life are pretty tangible. The ones in the next, I take it by faith, that they're worth it. So you need some momentum today to stay in the game. Stay in the game. The difficulties you're going through, it's not because you've sinned. It's not because you're bad. It's not because God's punishing you. Sometimes it is life. It is broken. Pain finds us. And so if you're in the midst of that, listen, the joy is in that God hasn't abandoned you. He's working in your life. He's working out good things in your life. He's doing more than you can imagine or even see. So I know it's tough, but trust Him and find joy and motivation for tomorrow and stay in the game. It's worth it. Lord bless you.